months since the finals ended, and here's the regular season opener.
A triple-double in his debut.
Big play, Jimmy.
Give me those!
Will it count? Run, buddy, run! Oh, Jason Tatum puts Boston on top.
Speaking of stars, we bring in our star, NBA analyst Tim Legler. And Legs, a lot of players on the floor for the very first time, either as a rookie or as a member of a new team. Whose debut impressed you the most on Wednesday?
Yeah, Lynn, a lot of really solid performances, but I think the one that stood out to me was the one that I anticipated going into the season to be one of the biggest moves that we had in the league, and that's Jrue Holiday, and he did not disappoint. The fact that he hit a huge three down the stretch, which is something I've been clamoring for with the Bucks, to add that dimension to their offense so it doesn't always have to go through Giannis Antetokounmpo to come through in that way on opening night against a very good Celtics team. Great start for Jrue Holiday.
All right, with the good comes the bad. What was one of the more disappointing performances you saw on Wednesday?
Got to stick with the same game, and man, you hate to beat up a guy that had such a big night statistically, but I'm looking at Giannis Antetokounmpo down the stretch. You get an opportunity off the sideline out of bounds play, you get fouled, you go to the line with 0.4 of a second left, down 2. It's almost a gift to get that call in that situation. You've got to go up to the line and knock down 2 free throws and get your team to overtime. I know he's going to beat himself up for it, and I don't want to be too hard on Giannis because I love everything about his heart and how hard he plays, but that still is a missing piece for this team. MVPs have to get that ball to go in, get that game to overtime, give your team 5 more minutes and an opportunity to win the game.
All right, Legs, last but not least, what team would you say made the biggest statement to open up their season?
Several big wins, but I'm going to focus on the New Orleans Pelicans. This is a team that coming into the season, there's a lot of attention on. They're going to be on national TV a lot because of Zion Williamson. So you really want to see what effect Stan Van Gundy is going to have. And you saw it on opening night, primarily on the defensive end of the floor. So impressive to hold Toronto to 99 points. And it's so critical because this was a team that last year was one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. To do that defensively and set the tone, out-rebound them handily, win the game really going away, and on a night when Zion Williamson really didn't do a lot offensively because of all the double teams he was seeing. I just thought it was a really impressive performance, the way they shot it, the way they defended, and how physical they were in the paint with Steven Adams manning it in there. Very impressive start to this season for a new coach, new regime, and a new mentality, hopefully, in New Orleans.
That is our Tim Legler with his biggest takeaways on a very busy night in the NBA. Thank you, Legs.
Thanks, Lynn.
It was a good one, and really the Clippers had the handle on this one the entire time. But you see here the scene really open. The Lakers, they got their championship rings, the priciest ones, might I add, in NBA history. But once the club away, 116 to 109. Paul George, that guy, remember last season? What had happened? Yeah, he scored 33 points last night. So, Max, are the Clippers the team that the Lakers need to be most worried about this season?
I can't say that at all. I can't say that at all based on yesterday. I take no stock in that game. I wasn't expecting the Lakers to do a whole lot. A championship hangover. They finished playing last. They're not going to get ramped up for a little while. And I think largely people understand that, right? But more than that, Stephen A. Paul George scored 33. So what? Opening night. So what? I need to see Paul George score 33 closing night, not opening night. And that's the whole question about this team. Now, do I like what they've added to the team? Do I like Ibaka? Oh, yeah. And we both agreed that Ibaka was an upgrade on Montrezl Harrell, who's a nice player. But Ibaka can also shoot it and can defend. And he's a veteran with championship experience, all that. That's a really nice pickup. They did not get Rondo. They did not get the point guard who can organize that offense. Batum, if a dude like that is interested, right, because he got his money and he went to a place where they weren't going to be competitive and we all forgot about him, and frankly, he didn't play very well. But if he's going to be interested and still has some gas in the tank, that's an interesting pickup. Is that enough to make me think that the Clippers are going to be the biggest threat to the Lakers? When, for example, I saw last year the Clippers got by the Mavericks because and only because Porzingis was unfairly fouled out of a game. The refs threw him out of a game he should not have been thrown out of, and then he got hurt. If Porzingis is healthy, Mavericks are better than the Clippers last year. I watched it, and I picked the Clippers. And I said after that series, Mavericks are a better team than them. Maybe the Nuggets are too, right? Like, a team the Clippers actually lost to. Let's see what happens with Porter Jr. I can't say based on day one, when you're not in the playoffs and Paul George shows up, I want to see playoff PG-13 become a compliment, not an insult. Then I'll buy the Clippers.
Well, first of all, I can say that the Clippers are the biggest threat to the Lakers because last night had nothing to do with that. I felt that way coming into the season. And here is the reason why. I don't think we'll ever see Kawhi Leonard and Paul George more motivated with the acquisition of Serge Ibaka and Ty Lue coaching them and having the cachet to hold them accountable, even more so than Doc Rivers. Remember, when Doc Rivers inherited them, he was in his 6th year in Los Angeles. There was questions as to what his future was going to be as the Los Angeles Clippers coach, because sometimes when you're there and you're in a particular place long enough, sometimes they feel they just need a new voice, and you had people close to Ballmer that didn't necessarily want Doc Rivers to be retained. So as a result of that, he walked in the last season with all of that going on. Then you combine that with the bubble and the bubble play because the NBA season was halted. The reality of the situation is that Ty Lue is in a better situation than Doc Rivers was to coach this team. Now, you're Kawhi Leonard. Unlike your first championship in San Antonio, unlike your second championship in Toronto, you are the face of this franchise, meaning these Los Angeles Clippers. They mortgaged the farm in order to get you by giving you what you wanted in terms of acquiring Paul George. So as a result, it's not just Kawhi's responsibility. Paul George, to a degree, is also Kawhi Leonard's responsibility because you asked for all of this stuff. Well, they gave you all the pieces that you needed. What you gonna do about it? You're the one that had the commercial. You're the one that had the crown dangling from the mirror in your car. You're the one that put everybody on notice with your New Balance commercials that you had arrived, and it was a new day as a result that had arrived in Tinseltown. And then you came up short in the Game 7. Now, we can look at Paul George hitting the side of the backboard, which we all brought up, and we can't erase that. But he did drop 33 in Game 6. He did drop 26 in Game 5. It wasn't like he was a flat-out scrub, for crying out loud. He had a bad night in the Game 7, which is not excusable. But it was even worse for Kawhi Leonard because so much more was expected from him, and he was an absolute no-show. MIA, missing in action, couldn't be found, while Jamal Murray was giving him 40. So what I'm saying to you is that with all of that stuff going on, and now LeBron James being a championship in the same building, in the same city, in the same town, with you still having those damn commercials, I think they're highly motivated. And as a result, we're going to see the Clippers come at the Lakers. I think that that's their problem, Max. They wasn't even interested in playing anybody else but the Lakers. The Clippers get up for the Lakers unlike they get up for any other team in the NBA. If you're talking about what could happen to them beforehand, fine. But if you're talking about a matchup face-to-face, you against me, the Los Angeles Clippers are the most significant threat to the Los Angeles Lakers because that's the one team they get up for every night.
Well, I don't know that. I don't even know that that's true, that I would say that they present, like in a matchup, the biggest challenge for the Lakers. I'm very interested, for example, in our game tonight, the Suns and the Mavs, right? I know no Porzingis, but like teams like that, let's see what happens with those guys. Like, as you know, I like the Mavs as my sleeper, but you got to even watch a team like Phoenix. Phoenix is loaded. So I don't know that they match up, the Clippers match up best with the Lakers simply because of motivation. I like the Kennard pickup. Like Shamet for Kennard is kind of like the Seth Curry for Richardson trade, right? Like you're giving up maybe better shooting, although both, obviously Kennard can also shoot. You're giving up better shooting for maybe a better player, a guy who's going to get more minutes. Like the Clippers did improve in the offseason, but I don't know to say enough to be better or more dangerous to the Lakers than, say, the Mavericks. When you think of the Mavs, if Porzingis stays healthy, when they're fully loaded, just think of Stephen A., the size and the shooting, where your point guard, basically, point forward, whatever, the guy bringing the ball up in Luka is 6'8". When your two guard, Tim Hardaway Jr., is what, 6'6", 6'7"? when you got guys like Dorian Finney-Smith who can defend and bomb from three. At least last year he was bombing from three at 6'7", 6'8", whatever he is. Maxi Kleber, same thing, can defend and shoot from the outside, 6'10", and then Porzingis at 7'3", who can do all those things.